Episode 135 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Lars Scooby. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 135 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am Dills, and with me, as always, is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
So we're back after our little 1 week vacation, so we got quite a bit to talk about. Right off the start, though, player support and upgrading their systems. What does that mean? Might be nothing, but it's a big dev blog, so we're gonna go through that one. Dev blogs in regards to the Hasidious House rework and the Deadman Mode beta. RuneFest gets announced twice. And finally, the update about said Hasidious update. Weird sentence. But anyways, community chatter related. The EHP community is mad again. About what? EXP rates. And then lastly, Deegan, you pulled up something here about Mod Ash talking about the hit splat coloring.
Mm-hmm.
That was some, I want to say old information, but there was problems in the past with actually putting that into the game. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But before that, Deegan, what did you do this week? And I guess partially the week before that.
I got 99 fishing.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So now I'm doing fire making and wood cutting at the same time. Like Winter Todd.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll get 99 wood cutting just from chopping the logs like while doing Winter Todd.
Are you going straight to 99 for both those?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the plan.
The road to max.
Yeah, I'm at 92 fire making right now.
Easy.
I haven't had like too much free time to play RuneScape in general. Like I'm surprised I actually got fishing done and then 92 fire making. I'm satisfied with the gains I have relative to how much free time. That makes sense.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Anything else RuneScape related? I've been merching. I got some good advice about some random merches I've been kind of testing with. So I'm like kind of experimenting a concept that I'll talk about once I'm done making money from it. And then you guys can know because it's been working out pretty well.
So you have advice. You're just not going to give the advice
until I'm bored with it. Yeah.
Until it's no longer a way to make money.
Yeah. But it's not what I'm flipping. It's why I'm flipping it.
The concept behind it.
Yeah.
God damn it. Always the concept. You can't just be straightforward.
Well, I'm not going to be like, hey, room plate bodies, because then people start flipping it. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And then Deacon's giving bad advice because I'm trying to flip room plate bodies and now I'm not making money because other people are doing it too.
It's bad because I did a little bit of merching years ago and it worked for like a week and I made like maybe 200K off of it. And then sometimes people are like, what should I merch? And I still like, you should try these items, even though I haven't touched them in years. Yeah. It's the God armor sets for treasure trails, like Zamorak, the rune Zamorak armor and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't touched that stuff in a while, but so merch at your own risk.
A lot of it, it's just like there's certain categories of things you can merch, like the high volume, fire runes you buy for like 5 and sell for 6 or whatever, like that type of stuff. I think I haven't done fire runes in years, but you like that concept like Zara scales or something.
Yeah.
Where you buy a lot for little and then wait for the margins to like move. Then there's like the big items, but then like also if you just like look at the updates and follow trends.
Yeah, and there's also like obscure items that don't always get traded, but they're so like treasure trail items. I'm not doing this right now, but I think I talked about this in the past, so you go ahead and try it. I'm not sure if it works, but I made some mad money off of it. And it was the, what was it? They were selling for 1.2 mil, but I was able to buy them for 800K if I had enough patience, between 800 and 1 mil. And then sell it for 1.2 mil, like awesome profits there. Wasn't the flare trousers? It was like the tuxedo legs or something like that. So I don't know, some weird thing. Go look for something that's worth like 1 mil. And anyways, yeah.
Yeah, those niche items can be pretty nice.
And if you hear some background noise, I apologize. We have the window open. It's a beautiful day out. So
birds be chirping.
We're trying to soak in a little bit of sunlight in this basement.
Yeah.
Getting a little pale.
Yeah, skin's turning a little yellow and green just from lack of sunlight. We're just slowly dying.
I think it's mold. I think my skin's molding.
Doctor said that sunlight will kill the mold eventually, so we have the window open for an hour.
It was a YouTube doctor. We didn't actually go out.
Yeah. Other than that, like I guess like my work life has been like super busy.
Fun.
In like the next couple weeks, it's like the reckoning. So it's like there was a calm, and then a storm came in.
Yep.
And then we like went and repaired the docks, but now there's going to be an even bigger storm coming, and that's where I'm at right now. And it could lead to the whole harbor being absolutely destroyed due to health and safety violations, or we make it out.
Quite literally, he works at the arbor.
Yeah, quite literally.
No, not
literally. But so it's messy, but like I just have
it's exciting, right?
Well, I was just straight up to like one of my bosses, like my assistant manager. I was just like, okay, real talk. I'm not dealing with this. And she's like, that's fine. I'm like, so you guys are cool, right? You guys aren't going to call me in to like try and fix this without going into too much detail about like my work. But like, I'm not going to stress over this. She's like, no, that's fine. Like, I understand. Like you shouldn't be the one trying to fix it because historically I've had to.
Fair enough. It's quite cryptic, but yeah. I know when I worked construction, I remember going to work one day. It was like 7 a.m. and I opened the front door to a house. I forget why I was going in there, but I was going to go clean or do something. Opened it up though. All this water comes like flooding out the front.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like my chest got like, it's not a waterfall. So they
like washing down the street.
Yeah, but it would soak your feet.
Yeah.
And my coworker was like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I do not need this stress in the morning. But I was like, this is exciting. This is like, I mean, I'm not buying this house. I'm not going to get in trouble for it. So to me, this is just kind of fun. Now we get to like rip out all the trim and all the flooring in the first floor.
Yeah. I'm kind of just like, hey, I'm the lowest person. At the bottom of the food chain. So, I'm going to ride this out and see what happens. You know what I mean?
It's a story in the end.
Yeah, we'll see. So I'm going to have more free time in the, possibly too much free time in a couple. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, I'll be able to play a little bit more RuneScape.
Good.
But yeah, I don't really think I have anything else interesting going on to talk about. Yeah. What about you?
A lot's kind of happened, but not much on the RuneScape end. I'm still fishing, and I mentioned I started fishing on my pier. He's at like 66 fishing, something like that. But I didn't get up to a whole lot of it. So first things first, my VR came in finally about a week ago, and I spent the next 3 days trying to get it to work. Nothing would make it run. It was just like not connecting. But the thing is, a lot of people had problems with that because it's like, this giant release of this thing. Of course, not everything's going to work perfectly. But I ended up having to do so much. I ended up getting a USB hub, tried to plug that in, didn't work. But anyways, I ended up installing one of those PCI cards.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. It's an expansion slot for USBs. Anyways, point is it works, and been having a great time with that. We've been playing some like Rec Room and Beat Saber. I got a game called Onward, which is like a military simulator. Like pretty realistic for a virtual reality game. And it's pretty intense. I've been having a lot of fun with that. As for other things, let me think here. I got a new job at a radio station at my school. So that's pretty sweet. And I might be picking up a second job. We'll find out though. Oh, and then my girlfriend's moving in with us, right?
Yeah.
She's moving in, so that's happening this weekend. That should be fun. Yeah, I guess that's basically it. Not a whole, like a lot happened, but not so much in terms of an actual discussion.
Yeah. Without like doxing ourselves.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Do we move on to the news now? Anything you want to discuss before we do that? It's been 2 weeks and we're already jumping into it. There's a lot to talk about, though.
I don't know if you want to like get into it. It's kind of random, but a couple months ago, there's this like event called GDC. It's like game developer convention type thing.
Oh, fun.
Okay, yeah. And I've fawned over the game. Is that the right? I've fawned.
Let's just roll with it.
I've been swooned. I've been captured. I've rambled about how great this game is, but it's PoE, Path of Exile.
Okay. Yeah,
in previous episodes.
I have downloaded it at one time, but I've never actually played it.
Yeah. So the company that makes it, Gearbox Games, GGG,
Nice.
they have like an hour panel thing where they just like talked about how they like monetize the game and how they've built its success.
Okay.
And there's like a lot of like neat correlations that they did that like you can kind of tell like RuneScape is doing or tried to do. One of the things they talk about is how they like when they first started making the game and it was like open beta, they did weekly updates.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a different genre, but it didn't work at all.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, most games don't have weekly updates, right?
Yeah, which is funny because like RuneScape does have weekly updates, and like I explained like a lot of things through the weekly update like model and like what they thought how it would affect the player base, like keeping them engaged the whole time.
Yeah,
and then it just didn't happen.
Okay,
so then they rethought their model and they got some advice for some people and blah, 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 blah.
Like
and,
other game developers.
And actually a streamer, Kriparian.
No idea who that is.
Oh, that's bad. You should know Kriparian. He's pretty dope. Hearthstone streamer.
No.
Big, he was like world first Diablo, hardcore, beat the game.
No, never really played much. I played a bit of Diablo when it first was released, but
okay,
it died out quick.
He was like super good WoW hunter and vanilla. Anyways, yeah, he's a pretty like well-known person like the streaming world. He was pretty much talking to the developers and whatever.
But why would they go to a streamer? Like what information does he have that
he's super knowledgeable in general? He's a smart dude, but he also is like he became popular through Diablo 3.
Yeah, and
maybe Diablo 2 as well, but he's like he knows that genre of like the community behind what they want in ARPG.
Sure.
And like whatever. Like he'd be like one of the guys to talk to. But whatever. His main advice was that like to not do weekly updates, but instead do big updates like around 4 times a year. Or like not even that, but like have like scheduled updates that people can look forward to and come back.
Yeah.
So they did like, I don't know, like 13 weeks or something, I think they mentioned. It doesn't matter when, but worth mentioning because RuneScape does weekly updates, but they also apply that same theory.
Yeah, like the big updates, yeah.
No, but Deadman mode. Like every 3 months.
Okay.
And so what the guy was talking about was during these big releases, these big updates, and like when they have like literally new like seasons in the game where you start from fresh and you grind through all the new the content with new stuff added.
Yeah.
Those peaks are when like all the players would come back, right?
Sure, yeah.
And it's like I think it's got to be super similar to Deadman mode where
the first day is super popular and then it dies out as time goes on.
Yeah, but like they have these like what is it, every 4 months or 3 months they have a new season, right?
Yeah, they have the Deadman Autumn, the Deadman Winter, Deadman
4
Spring.
times a year. But it's also like the best time to like make money off the game through bonds.
Yeah.
Because you got to bond up an extra account or something, or people just will get membership, which is like you literally need to be a member to play Deadman mode. My main thing, and like we noticed it a lot with these past couple months, is that like, or this past month, is that with like when they do weekly updates, we hit these awkward lulls of like 9 times out of 10, the updates are like kind of just like, bleh.
Kind of like fluff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're little tweaks, little additions to things that aren't really big on the grand scheme of things, but like it gives us something to talk about. And like, hey, look, leather shields, which I mean, I never use those. A lot of people don't. PKers are like, well, I got something else I can bring along. And no one's super excited about it, but it's just something a little different, I guess.
But like, that would be like, yeah. And then they do have like 2 times a year, it seems like. They have 2 big updates. They have like one at the beginning of the year.
It seems they have 3. And it seems, I mean, one of the J mods had talked about in the past, like why they do. I think it was Mod Matt K, ex Mod Matt K. But they were do one in January. So we had like Dragon Slayer 2 came out in January.
Yep.
I don't know why I use that as an example because I can't even remember what else released that year.
Theater of Blood.
Theater of Blood came out at the beginning of summer in like May.
And then Inferno.
Well, it was, And
then Inferno's after. No, Inferno's before all that.
Something else comes out in September. But it's always like January, June, September. And it's to like hit those peaks, but I also know in the past that they might not always had an update. But if you remember that there's a clue scroll event where you could talk to this Mo dude and he'd give you a free clue scroll every single day. And it was only for like the month of May or a week or 2 in May. And it was because like they didn't have a big update to bring out for May. So they're just like, all right, let's just have this event instead, which will hopefully bring players. And that's probably due to summer's just around the corner. People might want to be going to the cottage or something. And also exam time and people are finishing up with school. So they're not playing RuneScape as much. And then September, you're going back to school. January, I don't know. It's the new year. And I guess people are like, I'm going to go to the gym. No more video games for me. And Jagex is like, nope, get back on RuneScape.
Well, Christmas time, right? You hear about the new update. You get hyped. Oh, I need these requirements for Dragon Slayer 2. Ooh. But, but I don't know, like, do you think that would be like a good model? Do you think do you think they should keep doing this, or do you think it would be better if they like looked at more bigger scale things? So the big thing, like the strong like correlation between like PoE and then like RuneScape is burnout.
Yeah, most MMOs, right?
Yeah, but the main thing is that, like, I guess it's kind of similar. There's like a lot of similarities, but when you quit like Path of Exile or like an ARPG like Diablo, you usually quit with the intentions of coming back.
Yeah.
And with RuneScape, it's super 50-50.
Well, it's almost like people quit with the intentions of not coming back, but they always come back.
Well, it's kind of a meme, but yeah, I guess at some point you'll come back. But so like the whole thing is like, if they were to like kind of change their update model where they like maybe did like once a month or once every couple months, like, because like everyone kind of complains, or not complains, but a lot of the one thing that I've like seen a lot from like when we started, people have been like, hey, I'm burnt out from this game. Do you have any tips?
Yeah.
And like,
which is a very weird thing to ask. 'Cause it's just like, hey, this game that's super addictive, and I usually spend a lot of time. I'm kind of not really wanting to spend any more time on it. How can I change that and want to spend my nights doing it? Yeah.
But even then, like historically, like we've had it where like, hey, Dills, have you played RuneScape? Nah. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like we're kind of burnt out. We just like stop playing. Like I've had like multiple month hiatuses. There's been times where I've like quit without the intention of coming back, and then it's kind of like, well, I kind of have to come back.
And it kind of happens to me where I've never quit. I just like don't have as much of a desire to play, and I'm usually like doing other things. Like I wouldn't even use these past week and a half as an example of me not having the desire to play, because I just got this new toy, the Oculus Rift, right? So that's kind of got my attention a bit, but it's just I still want to play RuneScape, and I still hop on and when I'm watching YouTube, if I'm doing work on the computer. Yeah, there are times where you just kind of, it's like almost like you don't notice it, but you're slowly playing less and less every day,
Yeah. Like after I hit 99 fishing, like I've been doing some winter Todd, but like, and I in general haven't had like that much free time. But now like it's getting to the point where I'm starting to get a little bit more free time.
Yeah.
Like not a huge amount. Like I still have like a lot of hours I have to work. It's just I don't just put all my free time into playing RuneScape.
Which I mean, you shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that with anything.
I mean, I'm exaggerating all of it, all my free time, but now it's kind of like, it's not that I'm burnt out, but it's like now I kind of like need to play a little bit less. so I can play more maybe in the future. But like the main thing I wanted to like ask, like, what do you think Jagex could do to like have players when they're burning out accept it and then know when they're going to come back and play?
I think that's what those 3 big updates throughout the year do. Like, I feel like the model they have going right now is like it works. It seems to work. And as much as I would say, like, yeah, they should definitely maybe do weekly updates and then really have these like 3 massive ones. Like they're already big updates, but like you compare it to other MMOs and they'll have like 3 times the size of it, but they're also throwing in a shit ton of quality of life in there as well because they haven't had any updates in months. Right? Yeah. Whereas RuneScape, they're sprinkling the quality of life in between. Like every single week, there's a little bit, so you don't really need them when that big update comes out. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem with RuneScape is that
the big updates will always affect a small percentage of the community.
That and like it's like the polling system to leave such a large update to like you kind of leave it out of your hands for the community to vote on. Like that having no updates, but like one every 3 months, you have to really bet they're going to vote on it.
Yeah.
Because what if they're like, no, we hate this idea, and you're just like, well, we have no other ideas of what we could do for a huge update like this. Like this isn't something we can just go home and like, okay, we'll come back next week with another idea.
Yeah, this is perfect. It's like you're literally making I had like a little like connect the dots to like form the picture of like Jagex and like and you're just like a couple steps ahead of me. Like exactly. Like we have like 3 major updates, right? That like are geared towards bringing players back and like monetizing them because obviously they're all going to be membership based, right?
Yeah.
But if they're only affecting one corner of the community,
like the Inferno
is like perfect. Even though it did get a lot of people to like try out RuneScape because like that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
But like Song of the Elves. But like with like this past like warding, what if they plan for warding to be one of the major ones and it's just like, no, we don't want it. And now they're like, well, we're going to lose a lot of money this year because the players refuse to bring in one of our big ideas that we know will bring in a lot of like people to like get back into our game.
Oh yeah, because even if 90% of the community who's currently playing hates the idea of warding, if you still release it, you're going to have a ton of people who quit and go, oh, this is a new skill? All right, I got even RuneScape 3 players. They might be like, well, I never played old school RuneScape, but let me just try this new skill.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that with Zaya, right?
Yeah.
One of the big reasons for Zaya is because like this was at a point where RuneScape wasn't doing the greatest, old school RuneScape. So they bring out this new piece of land, and I think I was like kind of playing, but not really. But then I hear about this whole new area being released, and I'm like, damn, I kind of, what's going on over here? Let me see what's going on. And I start paying attention. Next thing you know, I'm logging in.
Mm-hmm. Because I had like always like just been on and off with like old school since it came out. I guess like since a little before we started recording like the show in general. It's like what, almost 3 years ago?
Yeah, September it'll be 3 years done.
It's like 2.5 years ago. But I guess like 3 to 4 years ago, I really like sunk my teeth in the game and just started just playing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what the catalyst was. There was no big update that I was like, oh my God, I want to experience this. And like,
is it because you're also a lower level that you know that like, yeah, this new update's coming out, but even if I am playing, I'm not gonna be able to experience it?
I think a lot of it was just that like RuneScape itself hits like the nail for what I want in a game in general.
Yep.
And that's what's kind of kept me to it. These big updates. Theater of Blood was actually the only update to like get me going. I was like, oh, like day one, like waking up early, like, oh, like it's the only update I've ever been like thoroughly excited for.
Yeah, me too. I was like the night before I was sitting there. I'm like, I can't really sleep. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And we both woke up at like 6 a.m. Normally, I'm not one to wake up super early and be in a good mood. Mm-hmm. But this time I woke up, I was chipper, I had energy. I was like, okay, let's go do some raiding. And then I found out quickly that I would not be able to. Everyone found out quickly that they're not completing Theater of Blood today.
But even then, like all the people like we raided with them and all my buddies that like were like doing Theater of Blood, they literally couldn't sleep. Like they were doing Chambers of Xerix. They're like trying to figure out, like they just like were pulling an all-nighter and we're going to go 24 hours of TOB. And then it was like, oh no, there's no way we're getting this done in like a month from now. This is too much. And then we did it for like a couple hours and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed and see what's up when I wake up. And then they all went to bed and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to chill and watch streams. This is sick.
Yeah, that was an I'm not one to sit down and watch a stream for a long period of time, at least. I must have watched like 15 hours of streaming, like multiple streams because you're watching it. These people competing with each other. But Theater of Blood was like, I agree.
Streams up like the Bodhi's game or Wooks' gameplay, Bodhi's voice, and then the other one was like a team that's like ahead of them or near them.
They were like the underdog you were kind of rooting for. And that was fun. But I also remember the night before was like 1 a.m. or something. And I was like, I need to go to bed now. I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep. I'm going to be dead tomorrow. But I went to the Theater of Blood area because if you remember, they had the whole area already released with the quest. They just didn't have the raid open. Mm-hmm. But I went there and I'm kind of gearing up a little bit. And then all these other people are there too, being like, you guys ready for tomorrow? And we're all like, yeah, people are excited. Yeah. They're like in the area.
I don't know. It's worth mentioning because like they have like the same model. So it's kind of hard to explain with like Path of Exile because I don't really want to focus on that. But the way they do it is that they like have like 13 weeks. They do big updates and they do like new seasons, which would be the equivalent of like a new Deadman mode where like everything gets reset. You grind through the game. You make a character, super diverse, a lot of RNG, super fun, addictive. You guys know when I'm really into it because I talk about it for like an hour. I'm not playing it yet. I'm waiting till the next season. But, and like the way they do it works perfectly for the game. And then the way Jagex does it, it seems to work, but a lot of it, it's so volatile. It works. I want to say like a lot of the updates work because they know the community well enough to like what they can pass. But like, what if like Song of the Elves crash and burn super hard? And
like the release, like there was a terrible quest.
Not even that. Where like they're doing polls and stuff and like they've been working on it and they're getting ready. But then the community just doesn't want it. Like what if like next RuneFest, they're just all bad ideas. We want none of it. And then they have no ideas for content this year.
Yeah, that's tough.
And it's super scary that like the community, I mean, obviously it's the life of the game, but like it could literally kill.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. And then to like bring RuneScape 3 and shit on it for a second, when they like do weekly updates, like it's pretty much confirmed it doesn't bring in people when they just do like in general, if you're doing weekly updates, like that doesn't help get players back into the game or something or whatever.
Well, it doesn't when you have other shitty systems.
But they had the same model with like smithing rework, right? They do these big things, but with RuneScape 3, it's like the way they monetize, like you can buy experience, right? And they always have like new ways to monetize. So like with those big updates, they're not bringing in the people that make them a bunch of money because those people that make them a bunch of money are already buying. Yeah, every paycheck they're donating 10% to the Jagex fund to their character. I don't know. It's kind of weird how like they have the same update models, but for old school, it works really well. And then I think just the fact that RuneScape 3, the players that play it sounds like really stereotypical, but like the hardcore fans don't really need that as much, right? Because they're already spending money consistently. The whales. Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought it was like really interesting. And like, do you think that like at least like maybe RS3 or old school should change up anything in their update system? Like, what if like Jagex went to like once a month, but still did their 3 times a year? Because like with this week's update, we had a little bit of a debate about it, some of the things that they brought in, but now a lot of people are really upset, and they're not upset, but like this is the fucking dumbest thing ever. They're kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because As a quick little point is that like with the whole like power creep, easyscape stuff, that happens through the weekly updates.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's never gonna happen with the big 3 times a year type thing.
Well, it does a bit. That's where you get the new items.
Well, when I say easyscape, I mean like where the game gets extremely like
you mean like the quality of life stuff will make it more easyscape than
automate, simplify, right click options.
Yeah.
Like those weird quality of life that are really just like making the game a lot easier. Or does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Although
Dragon Slayer, Vorkath, more money, items, easyscape, or like Hydra, the big Hydra update, Dragon Hunter Lands. And then the weekly nerfs to Chambers of Xeric has made raids 1 like so much easier. The entry level to Chambers of Xeric I've noticed is like way lower, and it's not just because of the items, because of like how they've rebalanced a lot of things. But Hunterlands does play a huge part in it too.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying that's not good? That's scaring players away?
No, I'm just saying, like, do you think they should just like do you think it would be better in the like longevity of the grand scheme of things to change the weekly, maybe even to like a monthly?
If it was any other game, I would say yes. But the way old school RuneScape is, and because of the polling system, I think the weekly updates are like almost kind of needed to get anything into the game. Like, I think it would be if you had once a month updates and you kind of squished every update into that once a month patch. Not only just like you're having to like vote on a lot more, but I mean, with so many things to vote on, that might cause people to be like, I don't feel like reading through all this.
The same voting system.
Yeah, but I feel like you'll get less votes from that, and then
it's
also
not like once a month. Here's 100 questions. Maybe it's here's like 15 questions or 10 questions, or like, you know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of times people are like, why are they polling this? Or they poll things that pass, like Sandstone. That whole meme with the Iron Man crafting meta.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like really weird, silly things get put in the game because they're on a weekly crunch. A lot of like knee-jerky reactions happen because we don't have time to like really like the community's so like dedicated that like there are people that are gonna sit there for 16 hours being like, okay, let's figure this all out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suss out this whole like Sandstone update and figure out the raids. How would you apply it? Blah, 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 blah. And then like it gets put through, and then Jagex is like, hold up.
I think that just their weekly updates does suit the game. They do their weekly Q&A streams, which kind of, you know, they help a little bit, right? To kind of discuss what the plans are, like the past week, maybe the upcoming week, and whatever it is. Plus, they did tackle a lot more than that. But like, I just feel like it works the best for a lot of different ways. I mean, like we have a lot of problems with bugs in the game.
Yeah.
Now imagine you had once a month updates. Like you'd probably get like 4 bugs at once. You know, imagine having Twisted Bow and then also the Twisted Bow
like
spawn. And then
that wouldn't like that happened with an update, like the Farming Guild update, a minor change that came in through a weekly. Like, should Hespori, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but imagine you brought that weekly update and then you just kind of pushed it to the end of the month. But you also had 3 other weekly updates that are also in that month patch. So, like, you know what I mean? You might have 2 bugs coming at once.
But I would just say it like it would give them more time to not have a Twisted Bow spawn or like not have max cash stacks drop.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just something to think about. And also when you're voting, you know, keep in mind if it's a big update, you could be killing the game if you're just voting no because you hate a quest or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But vice versa too. You could kill the game with the big update.
Yeah, I don't know. Just something like to think about, I guess. Worth mentioning. Basically,
we're throwing the question to you. Let us know if you think the model that Jagex has right now is. I mean, clearly it works, but you know, would less updates but bigger updates be better? Because I know, like with other MMOs and other games, those big updates were exciting, right? Whereas like the big updates for old school RuneScape, we get excited for some of them, but like Fossil Island, I'm not really. I'll go do it, but I'm not like sitting there like Theater of Blood the night before, being like, I can't wait to access this new land.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, all the big updates I've been like that though, except for Theater of Blood is the only one I was truly excited for.
But you're also got to think of your account's finally at that point where you're like, oh, I could technically try it. Whether or not I'm going to complete it, whatever. My account's ready though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you'd feel the same way if you were ready for Chambers of Xeric on release or the Inferno on release.
Maybe. Who knows? I guess we'll see for Inferno 2.
Shit.
But like Song of the Elves is coming around the corner. I don't care too much for it.
Yeah, I think part of that for me is like Theater of Blood. You knew this was the newest, hardest content. That's exciting.
But there's going to be Gauntlet and Zolcano, which are like two cool ideas that like something I should be excited for, but I don't have. Maybe once it gets closer, I'll start getting butterflies for it.
They're cool updates, but to me, it's like the Hydra or like Winter Todd or the Volcanic Mines, where like I think it's going to come out. This is how I'm expecting it to come out, at least my expectations for it. It's going to come out and it's not like it's going to get cleared. Someone's going to clear it on their first attempt, and it's. You're like, oh, okay. And then a guide's going to be out a couple hours later. Whereas with like Theater of Blood and the Inferno, like you're waiting for someone to complete. It's that stuff is exciting because it's like the top tier content. This is like high tier, but it's definitely not top tier.
Yeah.
When I say top tier, I mean like the best of the best players are trying to do it. They're going to be doing it just because it's brand new, but it'll be completed probably pretty easily. I could be wrong. We'll have to see, right?
Yep. Yeah, you want to move on to the news?
The old news. Let's do it.
Yeah, so the first thing I guess we're talking about is Jagex and upgrading their support system. Hey, guess what? It's extremely outdated. Wow. They're using a support system from like the early 2000s.
And this is the first dev blog of a grouping, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
They say here, this is the first one called Upgrading Our Systems, but there'll be 3 more to follow, which are going to be account security, recovery and lost items, myths about player support, and in-game toxicity.
Yeah. Yeah, they do mention, like, they pretty much just say that, like, they're on Windows XP variant of support compared to, like, everyone on Windows 10. Like,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like that's like outdated. They're doing it, and that they're going to be upgrading it. All that good stuff. Fun fact: like 23% of the messages they send for like that when people send like account security support type stuff aren't even read.
Yeah. Okay.
So like they're not blaming the player, but
So wait, when you say that, that's the messages coming from Jagex to the player.
Yeah,
the players aren't reading the messages.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, they do send replies and they do, all that stuff. But a lot of them don't even get read. Maybe it's a wait time, but they acknowledge that there's something wrong where, like, at least 90 of them should, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't say 90%, but, like, come on. Like, imagine, like, doing something and, like, a quarter of the time they've moved on.
Yeah.
You're,
like, trying to help them fix their problem and just like, you know what?
You're like
don't care anymore.
You're like a car mechanic, and like every 4th car, you're like trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And they never come back for their car.
Yeah.
And you're like, for fuck's sakes. All right. Yeah. So system integration, there have been big improvements to how we handle forgotten login requests. And this process is now handled through a single system, taking less than half the time it did before. So you can be quickly reunited with their lost accounts, and satisfaction went from 80 to 98%.
Damn.
Yeah. And Jagex has to really struggle. Ironically, my real life buddy got hacked like a week ago for like his T-Bone and all that. I mean, it's his fault because he didn't have like proper safety. But I bring this up because they hacked his account, did all this stuff. They put like they did like a bunch of shit to make it kind of annoying for him. They changed the email, all that stuff. but he was still able to get the account back in like 2 days, or like a day and a bit. Like overnight, he was able to submit all of his information, and they got it back to him.
Cool.
I mean, he lost everything, so rip like $2 but
the account's still there.
He ended up getting it. He's just done playing the game. Sucks, but hey, you don't have to go to Twitter or the subreddit. Little tip.
Yeah, you can go to oldschoolrunescape.com.
Yeah. Improved web forms. So, until recently, our contact form were standardized across departments, regardless of the differing needs of each contact type. So, it was complex and annoying and hard for the JMods, and they couldn't really get the info out of you.
So that means like, hey, my account got hacked, and also my RuneScape client's lagging. They would be filled out in the same form, right?
Yeah. So, cleaning that up. Email responses, they're fixing that up.
Cool.
Yeah. So, in the next, 5 months for that, in terms of how they respond and how they can effectively help out players, I guess we'll notice a lot more in 5 months from now.
Yeah.
But, considering 2 of my friends got hacked when they were playing, it took them a month. And then my buddy, literally last week, took him a day. Maybe it's the timing or the accounts, or maybe he just was able to utilize what they've been doing. I don't know. Who knows? But there's been a difference. So the tickets, the logged in tickets. So they're altering and expanding upon ban appeal systems introduced 2 years ago, and ensuring that players are logged in before submitting a ban appeal will end uncertainty for players with multiple accounts. Half the ban appeals are from people spamming them.
Oh. So you'll have one dude posting 6 times.
Yeah. Their previous stated response time was up to a maximum of 28 days. But now it's been half to 14. And they're often able to respond within 4 days. So I guess they're just my anecdotes coming through that statement.
Sure.
That feels good.
Nice.
AnswerBot. So they've been exploring a potential new system that would be available during the ticket creation process and may be able to solve and answer some common questions.
I really hope their bot detection program somehow picks that up and just bans their support bot.
Yeah.
They know how to do it, so they just have a bot sitting at the GE spamming shit.
Yeah. So a support system. They have plans to trial a live chat, but they need to have a support center and have it improved first. They're improving their support articles, and then all that stuff should be done and by summer their support center should be completely revamped. The annoying things of when you go to a website and do accounts support, and then you search and you just find dead ends that don't help.
Yeah, almost always.
Yeah, they're going to be going through that and updating and fixing all that crap.
Cool.
And there'll be more stuff to come. But that will come in phases, and we'll talk about that as they come. They have a bunch of stats and all that, but it's not really what we're talking about.
Well, it does say the navigation success for, I guess, their website from last August 2018, went from 50% all the way to 78% from April 2019. So,
yeah,
they're doing stuff.
Now we're on to the big one, the Hasidius rework. So first off, they've completely readjusted the city, obviously.
Yeah, we've been talking about it a bunch in the past, how they wanted to move a bunch of the things around, make it look like an actual town, city, community, neighborhood.
Yep, so they've done that. Looks nice. Some key points to mention is that they've shrunken the teeth farming. Cool. And it looks way better. And they're able to move teleports closer to the farm, all that good stuff. They freed up a lot of land. We're able to kind of put Hasidius there at the teeth farming. The old one took up so much space.
Oh yeah, it had let me quickly count.
And they have a 40 thing.
Oh. So they went from 40 teeth patches to 10. Wow.
Yeah. Because you only need
2.
4.
Oh, yeah, 4, that's right.
Yeah. And no one does it, so.
Surprised they went with 10, not 12 then, so you have 3 people going.
Yeah, but no one really does it. And There's a lot of worlds. Like, you don't need
Yeah.
3 people sharing an area. You just have like 2 people and then one dick mess everyone up. You can fight over a couple.
That's good.
Make the competitive skilling a thing, I guess.
Next thing you know, they'll put make it a PvP area.
Yeah.
That's some sort of farming I can get behind.
So they've relocated a lot of the buildings around, and like we've talked about this so many times.
They have that farmer's market, the little town square now.
Yeah.
2 new buildings, a corn exchange, kind of like the Grand Exchange, but the currency's corn.
Yeah.
That's a weird. They didn't pull that one, but seems to be working. I mean, gold inflation. It's kind of a gold sing. It's kind of irrelevant now, but
Yeah.
and there's also a granary.
Yeah, they've done a little upgrade to Watson's house. So that's pretty cool.
Sweet.
They've added the temple dungeon, the Hasidius dungeon. They've reassembled they reassembled. They moved around the Saltpeter farm digging site.
Okay. Sorry, going back to that dungeon, because I feel like we just rushed over that one. It's not finished. It seems like they have the dungeon, but there's still more work to be put into it to make it what they originally proposed.
Yeah.
That was like, oh man, we got that dungeon, that spider boss. I want to hear more about that.
Oh no, yeah, sorry. I guess I kind of glanced over that, but like it's there but unusable at the moment because they still have the pole, like a lot of things for it. But yeah, they moved some shortcuts, all that good stuff. The Kingstown, they've made the walk to the Karen Castle a lot more like scenic and proper from the dock, I guess. It's not as far as of a run. The Karen Castle is like bigger, more like cooking ranges and stuff.
Nice.
But and Dead Man Beta that went through.
Man, it already happened.
Yep.
Seems like they ran 2 different groups of people,
2
different play tests. Does say the spring finals reruns and the summer final dates 14th of June for the Dead Man. Sorry. And then they say here with the spring finals rerun, that will be happening on the 14th of June. And then the season for the summer finals will be the 22nd of June, with the tournament actually being on the 29th of June. Sorry, not the new season, but that final week where the people who make it into the invitationals get a restart for that first week.
Yeah.
So yeah, 29th of June, 14th of June, mark it down.
Yep. Lot of random things in other news, like if you die after killing Jad, you die, but you spawn out of the fight caves, like the hardcore Iron Man that died, and lost his thing after getting his fire cape. That won't happen. Once you kill Jad and you start cheering and you hit 0 HP, you won't like die.
Sucks to be that hardcore Iron Man, I guess.
Yeah,
he's a martyr.
RuneFest 2019. Save the date for October 4th and 5th.
Cool.
And you can now buy tickets.
Nice. Okay, God, what a pain in the ass. But I found the price of the tickets. The limited early bird offer is £135. The standard tickets will be £150.
Yep.
Pounds. So do the conversion. Might be a little bit more than that.
So I guess moving on to Poll 67 updates. Pest Control now starts a game much faster if there are 25 like players in the boat.
Cool.
If you have at least 5 players present, it will start in 2 minutes.
All right.
Yep. You can now wear capes in Barbarian Assault.
Okay.
Ooh. I'll save this one for later. But prevent hunter traps from falling from forced closing interfaces. So previously, if you had an interface open, such as a bank, and your hunter trap has fallen down, it would close that interface. That no longer happens.
Okay.
You can do one-off payments for infinite liar teleports, which is super nice. It starts off at 1,000 sea turtles, manta rays, sharks, and bass.
Holy.
But it drops 200 for each Fremnick diary completed.
What?
So
you can reduce it by 80%.
Yep. By getting elite diaries done.
Damn.
It's kind of like hey, you got you know what I mean? Like I good thing we got them done now, right?
I guess so.
They made some extra adjustments to the Hasidius house. They like a lot of it was like NPCs would wander, like little like minor bug fixes, adjust the map icons, random stuff. The
music track, The Forlorn Homestead, now plays at the farming patch in Hasidius instead of Country Jig.
The cow field is now multi-combat, so bust those cannons out.
Yeah, I know people complain about it because if you get a Slayer task, we have to kill cows at a lower level. It's nice to be able to go to multi if you're a pure and you just want to cannon.
Yeah. So now you can do that. PvP poll results.
Oh, that's right. We can't see them anymore. So now they have to tell us in dev blogs.
Yep. Spoilers. All these passed.
With 45,000 votes. That seems like more than usual.
Yep.
I recall they're usually about like 30,000.
Yep. So more votes. Wilderness tasks. So these have passed. They're not in the game yet, but Wilderness Slayer tasks give you a chance of getting like pretty much a Konar key. You'll get like a key that will allow you to open one of two chests in the wilderness. The deeper chest, better loot, all that stuff.
Yeah, that passed.
The additional clan war setup options that they described, which is pretty much to make official clan wars, like clan v clan, more competitive.
Yeah, having more rules set in place so you don't have to worry about like, well, we agreed on 5 people each. You brought in 10.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You can now kill if you get telly blocked and you kill the guy who telly blocked you. You're no longer telly blocked.
Nice.
That's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It's just cool that like if you get jumped by like a couple,
some soy boys.
Yeah, some trash boys. You can just TB. This guy's in salads. He's in Xertion and he's TB'd me. I'll just dump my spec on him, kill him quick. Oh, no more TB. Yeah, I mean, it's easier to say that.
That's one epic getaway.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. They have a toggleable kill death ratio for PvP worlds, like similar to Wilderness and Bounty Hunter.
Cool.
And there's now another Wine of Zamrock spawn deeper in the wilderness.
So now we have 3. Is it the deepest?
Yeah. And
it's probably not the deepest. You can probably stuff another one in there somewhere. Yeah,
maybe like right next to it. They'll have one that like is like an infinite. You can just sit there and telegraph it as many times as possible, and it's right next to the mage bank or something.
Yeah,
and you get insta scald when you telegraph it. But I glanced over one of them because there was a lot of discussion about this one.
Okay,
we were discussing this in the past.
All right, a little bit of a rewind in that dev blog here.
Addition of the weapon category combat options interface.
Yes, we got some stabby boys categories.
Yep. So they now, if you notice, if you look at your combat tab, the double swords for all those new players that show what your combat level is, and your special attack bar and your attack styles and all that. At the very bottom, there'll be a category that tells you what weapon you're using, what type. And a lot of the complaints are, this is redundant, or why is this dagger saying stab/sword?
Stab/sword?
Yeah, like weird things, right?
Okay.
And then people saying, I don't want to see this. Can I just have an option?
It's so small.
I think it makes it look a little messy. They have, for their example, they have the Crystal Halberd, which is like what, polearm?
Yep, it says polearm for the category.
Is like, I look at that and I'm like, okay, maybe that's like the best example.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Like maybe but then you look like a Dragon Warhammer and it's categorized as blunt. And you're kind of like,
blunt weapon?
It's a category blunt. It's kind of weird. It shows inconsistency in the category. Like you could look up, like we went through, we could probably pull them up again with the weapon categories and see how inconsistent the labeling is. And
there's weird ones, but I mean,
salamanders, because what category they are.
What?
Salamanders.
Yeah, makes sense.
But like,
there's no other weapons like it, right? You can't. There's no other. There's nothing else that are like salamanders. That makes sense.
Magic longbow. It's in the category longbow. It's like a lot of it is like rune crossbow category crossbow.
But I don't think that having the category listed isn't for the rune crossbow. It's for like the crystal bow. Is that a longbow? Maybe it's not even a longbow, right? So now you can look at it and be like, is it fall in the same category as a longbow? I don't know. I didn't have no idea.
Why not move it to like the equipment inspection where you look at all the gear you're wearing and it might have like little tags, right? Like
that's another option.
Like, yeah.
But I don't think it's like intrusive. It's very small. Like it's if you don't know what we're talking about, I mean, you might be playing the games. You can check right now. But if you go to your attack style, if you remember where it says combat level and then it'll have your level displayed there. The category text is the same size as that, so it's not. I don't think it's intrusive.
I just think it's super unnecessary.
I feel like we're going to rehash the argument a bit, but I feel like because the categories aren't super consistent, it makes them necessary. And I feel like the only way you can make them consistent is by
having people point out inconsistencies that they show us, and then they have to go back and fix it.
It's more of the category's label. Not so much what weapons fall into what category. Like a Warhammer being the blunt, a blunt weapon, I think that's an appropriate category because then you can also see that, oh, hey, it's in the same category as a bludgeon. It's probably not. But like, it might be. I have no idea. But it's good. It's kind of nice to know those things.
So like, I agree 100% that that's how they should only be categorizing them though. Like, is this like a blunt weapon or like a crush based weapon or whatever blunt means.
Sure.
Or like a stab based weapon or a slash based weapon. So like at a glance, Dragon Scimitar, you can stab with it, but it's a slash based weapon. So you're like category slash, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Polearm. Like it shouldn't say weapon, polearm. It should say like slash stab, whatever they intend the weapon to be. Even if if it's like a short sword versus a long sword, right?
Yeah.
One should just say stab, one should say slash, where it's like you can do both with both, but instead of having to like open up your equipment and like figure out what's most accurate or what they intend you to use it for, like you could just look there. Does that make sense? Like instead of saying category whip for Abyssal Whip, it'd be like slash, because like, you can only slash. That's a bad example.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
Are you sure?
Well, look, they have category polearm.
But all halberds were going to fall into that polearm category, right?
So, like, I'm saying, instead of just putting the name twice, right? So, crossbow. Just have it say, like, range or, you know what I mean?
But I feel like I get, like, I totally would agree, but I feel like since there's so many weapons that then it gets weird because if you have like slash weapon, but then you have a two-hander, you know what I mean, which is kind of different. Then it's like, well, a two-handed slash weapon, but then the halberd, you know what I mean? Then it starts like,
but like, are people going to be like the rune two-handed sword? Oh shit, that's a two-handed slash weapon. It's like, what if it just said slash? It kind of like.
But then you might think that if it just says slash, you might think that, okay, it's going to have the same attack style as my Dragon Scimitar, but it's not going to. Like, I think the main reason is because it saves your attack style now, depending on the weapon category. So you don't want them to think that the Rune Two-Hander is going to be sharing the category as the Rune Scimitar if they're not going to.
But if you're like on this page already, you're going to notice.
On the dev blog.
No. If you're on this tab. So let's just say I'm an Omp Mauler, right?
Yep.
I bust out my staff and like my Slayer staff, and I'm like, Slayer staff, category staff. It's on strength. We're set. I'm not getting any experience in a place I don't want it. Yep. Right? And then I swap to like my Dark Light to go spec, and for some reason it's on defense, and I get defense experience and level up. Like the question, like it would be like, at what point is it my fault, not Jagex's, right? So you could be like, oh, well, Jagex should keep it consistent, but it's like, well, you could just look at the category and see it's a sword, but you're looking at the category, so why aren't you just making sure you're on strength? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to be hopping around different weapons, do you really have to like you should know the difference? Or like event RPG is a fun weapon, right? I don't that's something that might be helpful for me. Is it a fun weapon? But if I have to go and check the category, it's like it just ends up like, hey, it's trivia knowledge, and oh yeah, whoa, it was on attack, that was scary. Put it on strength. Like you're kind of like why is it there, right? Because if I'm already on my page, I should be looking at training the appropriate thing.
It might just help with like in the future too. So yeah, okay, the first time you're going to check, or you're going to check the longbow to see that, oh, the longbow's in a different category as the short bow because I want to use accurate with it, but my short bow's always on rapid. Okay, whatever. But I think in the future you might remember, oh, okay, I remember now that whatever I set my longbow to, it's the short bow's not getting changed. It's weird. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just like it's trivia on main UI where like if it's like a trivia type thing, you could just like, I don't mind that it's like a thing. I just like, it'd be kind of cool if like the equipment menu had like that stuff, because then you can even expand on it, right? With like types of armor, or like I can't think of any armor that would be kind of cool to like know, or like offhander type things, right?
No, but I agree there. It would be nice to have the equipment. Like I never really check the equipment page like in game, but it would be nice to have more reasons to go there. You know, so yeah, maybe putting the category there, you're going to have someone wanting to check it out. I mean, they might forget more often that it's even there, but also, I don't know, you can do that same with like the special attack. You know how when you mouse over it, it tells you what it does. You can throw that in the equipment page too.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
Because I would like a larger breakdown on the equipment page so I can make more of a habit to check it. Right, that's how you start becoming better at the game and knowing the numbers. Yeah,
because RuneScape's it's all knowledge. Knowing's half the battle, but also like I mean, RuneLite does a lot of the heavy lifting. How you can hover over an item and it shows all the stats.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
But you know, you have to, like
mobile users, right?
Yeah, like what if there was an equipment breakdown? You could like tap you're like doing like Zalra, and you're like tapping. You have a crystal shield, and you're like, oh, I'm losing so much range bonus, and I'm using a crossbow. Maybe I should swap to this. Or you're like, I'm using I don't know, rune medium helmet instead of a mystic hat. You know what I mean? Where you could like tap it, look at what like the pros and cons of that item, and be like, am I using this for this type of content? Should I be using, you know what I mean? Where you can get like a breakdown of all your items. Best example, you're wearing rune armor and you're fighting Bloodvelds.
Yeah.
But Bloodvelds having magic-based attacks, you want to wear dehides, but you could like get a breakdown of like, oh, this is giving me like really bad magic defense, and I'm gaining nothing. So let me throw my blessed dehide because I get some prayer, get some melee defense still, but it's also magic-based armor, and black dehide would be way more effective than like rune top and bottom.
Sure,
fun fact, but like.
I mean, you could do a lot with that equipment page.
But it starts with, like, doing this type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think what their worry is, because it says here, players expressed their wanting to know. God, I'm terrible at talking today. But the players have expressed that they want to know what categories their weapons are in. Having it there, they're going to see it right away. Whereas if it's on the equipment page, you might have to, like, I didn't even realize that was there for the longest time. So I think that's maybe why they put it there. But I would love the equipment page to get way more fleshed out. I want to see what my average DPS would be against someone with zero defense. I want to see probably more. I don't know, but you know what I mean?
Make it like Eve, where like you can just click a button and just pull up all the UI. Okay, distance. Let me, you know, like I love when I was playing Eve. That's what I loved, is all like the knowledge and stuff you can learn just from like looking at your UI. But you can also like hide it, obviously, toggleable. But like,
at least for me, like if I want to know more about the game and become a better player, at least like from what I know with like number stats, like, oh yeah, you want to use this weapon over this weapon because this or this at this number, accuracy starts to be stronger than strength, the strength bonus. But the problem is, looking on just the RuneScape client, you're not really going to know. You have to go and
Go to
either
the wiki.
Yeah, do the wiki, or you got to, for the most part, there's a forum post where a guy breaks everything down. You have to go and study that to actually become, you don't have to, but that's a good place to start.
Yeah. And like a lot of it is that like not everyone cares, but there are people that want to know and don't know how to start. And it's imagine being like a new player and you want to like learn the game and you're like, I'm really enjoying this, but I just don't know anything. And then you ask a question and then people answer. Like you're going to CC, ask a question, people answer, ask a question, people answer. And then eventually they're like, dude, use the fucking wiki. And you're like, okay, well, there's 2 wikis. One of them I looked up and there's a cartoon of Neve naked with the penis. Literally, like that was the Rev Caves page for me at one point. It was just, porn. It was pretty funny. But, so like if they were to, like maybe even just like I guess maybe they have to do for next year. But if they have like a fluff week or month, talk about like how can they improve like quality of life to like learning the game or whatever.
Yeah,
for
because
people that seek it out like that, it would be perfect. Like I don't want to be like super nuclear. This is the biggest nuclear take on something. This is like the equivalent of like crafting, getting like staves and like magic gear and getting everything put into that skill. You know what I mean? And then and then they want to come up with warding and people are against it. This is like hyper nuclear world's gonna explode take. This is super exaggerated.
It's okay.
Then they're kind of doing that to this page when it comes to hover over the special to know what the special does. Here's a little text. It's like you can kind of put that even in like a separate page or like a button interface on the equipment tab.
Yeah, I agree. And the only reason I would want that is, like I just said, it motivates the player base and it motivates the devs to expand on the equipment page. Because, like, there's so much gear in the game. I don't really know why I'm bringing a Dragon Fire Shield over a Defender in some scenarios, but I just know that the wiki says so. Like, okay, I can get why, okay, you're going to want defense more, but I don't know the numbers like this shield has so much defense that it now weighs better than something that has really high offense. Does that make sense?
Well, like
I don't know why,
but like opposite examples, like if you're using like a Dragon Hunter crossbow at Vorkath and you're using a DFS, you should use you should actually use the shittier one because like the defensive stats you get from the DFS don't outweigh the accuracy. It's minor accuracy, but like that little bit with the, you know what I mean? Like yeah. That's such a random niche thing, but like people could kind of like stumble across that. Like the average person could stumble across that if they like were to focus on equipment information on the equipment tab instead of like the combat tab.
Yeah. And it's just like I never really knew why I was training with a scimitar. The only reason I did it was because everyone else did it and they swore that it was the best DPS. And it's true, but I never really knew why. I'm like, what makes this better than a dagger, for example, or short sword or a long sword?
Battle axe.
Well, speed's better than that. Speed will give you more DPS, but
yeah.
I would like to know
the formula
more why.
Of like attack speed, strength, and accuracy. And then typically you're training, and it's just like, okay, that's so long-winded, but if I could kind of understand without reading an essay and like, you know what I mean? Some PhD like thesis.
It would allow me to be more experimental because I'm not going to go do a Slayer task and like, I'm going to do this Slayer task in full offensive gear. And then I'm going to try doing it all in defensive gear and see what is faster. It's like, offensive, I have to make a trip to the bank twice, but defensive, I never do. Like, I'm not going to do that because that takes so long. And RNG is such a huge factor. You never really know, was it the gear or was I just luckier this task?
Yeah.
That's what I liked about World of Warcraft. You would mouse over your defense stats and it would be like, you're protecting this much damage. It's different, right? The formula works differently in that game, but I would like to have that sort of stuff in old school RuneScape so I can like scroll over and be like, I don't know.
Funny enough, you bring that up. That's one of the biggest complaints that veteran WoW players have is how they've gimped that actual interface.
Made it easier to read?
They've gutted just information.
Okay.
And it's like, hey, if you really like a game, like it's kind of cool to have like an information hub.
Yeah.
That like isn't intrusive, and like RuneScape has a perfect tab that they're not utilizing.
Yeah, and it's stupid for me to be like, this is what you want to bring to this boss. And if anyone asks why, my answer is probably going to be like, well, the wiki says it, and I can guess that it's telling you to bring a Carol's Top because this monster maybe does more magic defense or magic damage.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really...
Or like range defense or whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
That's it for the news.
Well, that news. And then we got one more little breakdown of RuneFest. I'll quickly go over it.
Yeah.
All right. So they brought down kind of what their itinerary is going to be. So Friday, October the 4th. I know it's far away, but it's good to know what events are going to happen. The Golden Gnomes are going to be setting off as one of the first events. So if you're not aware, first off, if you're not aware of what RuneFest is, it's basically...
Minecon.
I was just gonna say it's Minecon but RuneScape.
A little more smelly, but less cringy. Actually,
different type of cringe.
Little more rapey. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
It's BlizzCon does it for the Blizzard games like World of Warcraft, Diablo, whatever. RuneFest is all Jagex stuff, so it's RuneScape 3, old school RuneScape, and whatever game that hasn't failed yet that they still think is going to make it big. But
they have like cool stuff like orchestras, right?
Yeah, last year they had a giant concert from one of London's orchestras or symphonies.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Music majors, email us.
Yes, let us know. I mean, we could probably easily Wikipedia it or Google it, but we're not going to. So, they had that last year and they played a bunch of, the RuneScape original songs. And if you kind of want to go hear what that would sound like, go to Spotify and listen to they have kind of an orchestral version of many of their songs.
Yeah.
So you can go check that out. But they do cool events like that. Yeah. And then the Golden Gnomes, that's where a lot of awards are given to players within the community for different things, such as, best video of the year.
Content creating. Let's have a podcast thing, and then you guys just harass everyone until we become one of the contenders.
Yeah, one of the contenders. But yeah, no, and then they have like the best streamer of the year, the best like artist of the year, right?
Yeah.
They had that.
Best like YouTube video.
Single YouTube video. Then they'll have like best new YouTuber, so a guy who just started this year.
Yeah.
Same with the new streamer.
Yeah.
And tons of other stuff too. And who knows, maybe a podcasting category. Yeah. I see a couple of other ones sprouting up now with, some of the RuneScape YouTubers. They're making their podcasts.
Yeah.
So now that there's more out there, who knows, it might be a category.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. So yeah, they have the Golden Gnomes there. And then coming on Saturday. And then they say for Saturday, they I guess they don't have everything completely fleshed out, which makes sense. It's still months and months away. But some of the plans for the Saturday, which it opens up at 10 a.m. And they say here, this year's RuneFest is definitely shaping up to be totally epic. Nice. We're bringing back skill chips, adding new activities, new entertainment, and all the biggest announcements from both the RuneScape and old school teams. So that's like where they're going to announce the big updates for the year. Something that's very exciting to watch.
Skateboarding, the new skill.
Yes, sick. And then RuneFest is celebration like no other. You can look forward to panel sessions with your favorite JMods and content creators, a huge PC LAN party, and goodie bags filled with RuneFest loot. Food and drinks will also be available on site. And as the day comes to a close, we'll also be hosting a massive after party for all the guests. So, in a nutshell, it sounds like it's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
They have like a bar there that you can go and just smash.
Do they have like a max club yet where you have to show your character and then like only max players can go in? Do they have that like an elite lounge?
I was going to say that they had that last year, but I think we were just joking about that.
No,
they didn't have it last year. I was like, I remember hearing about that, but that might have been hearing it from you.
Just a joke.
They definitely should, though. You walk in, they have their little tablet there. You got to log in.
Shit, I just got hacked.
Yeah.
Someone like installs malware on it. It'd be kind of cool if you could like link your username to like your ticket.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah. And then you like and then you go in, you're like, you're maxed. And then like you like enter the max lounge and it's just like a crazy strip club with buckets everywhere. You can take dumps. Nice. It's actually just like a moldy room that like has the perfect conditions for EHP.
That's the best connection.
Yeah. Directly to the server.
Yeah.
Oh man, no lag at all.
You walk in, it's just silence, but you just hear keyboards clicking and stuff.
You just hear like EDM trance like, from someone's headphones. It's just silent.
Can someone change the song? The beat's not going to the tick system.
No. But real talk, imagine you walk into the Max Lounge and then there's just like sandwich lady strippers.
Damn.
You got milkmaid lady strippers. You got Neve strippers.
The thing is, you're going to have some male strippers because there's definitely some maxed out females there.
Yes, and you'd get like the Genie, Duradel.
Okay.
King Roland.
Oh, King Roland
would make a pretty big appearance.
Yeah.
Cow Killer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a great axe, I've heard.
Damn.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, RuneFest looks like fun. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going this year.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. It's the flight tickets can be a little bit expensive. But it is something that I do want to do in the future. So maybe the next RuneFest, right? Or maybe, who knows, maybe we'll win the lottery and we'll fall into some money, right?
Yeah.
But it does look like a fun event. And hey, if you plan on going, let us know. You can be our live on the scene correspondent.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. The less British you are, the better. I'm totally kidding, by the way.
Say, the people are probably going to do it are people who live in around the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks like fun. And it is a fun event to watch and kind of pay attention to. And yeah, it's something that I would assume would be cringy, but every time I watch it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I mean, there's nothing like that production wise that's ever bad. It's always pretty good. The speakers, I mean, it's like, oh, you guys are a little nervous, but like usually they're well done. Like there's that one guy, I don't know who it was, but he did a good one. He was like when they do their like big unveils.
Yeah, definitely.
They're always good. Just like one like dev might be nervous a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that with can't remember his name, but the guy who introduced warding.
Yeah.
But then you look at someone like Mod Ed. I remember when he was bringing out Dragon Slayer, and man, did he kill that announcement. Yeah. He got me like sitting there being like, you could feel his excitement.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So it's very cool. And you know what? It's part of it's RuneScape 3 too, but sometimes their panels are cool. Like some of the things they have planned. I remember watching it 2 years ago at watching the RuneFest and the RuneScape 3 announcement. They were talking about how they want to have this weather system where it's like constantly changing. Mm-hmm. And then they would bring this new, like either a spell book or a new combat skill that consisted of you manipulating the weather. You know, let's say it's raining out and you're like, shit, now I can do these lightning strikes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the weather could get so bad that, you know, Karamja floods.
Yeah.
So they announced like that. Unfortunately, they never brought it out, which is like, yeah, you listen to it and you're like, that's so sick, but that's a big job. And then clearly they're like, sorry, guys, can't really do it.
We're not going to make that much money from it because, hey, well, it's Wheel of Fortune, baby, 2.0. Yeah. That's where the money's at.
And engine work. But it's still, though, listening about it, I was like, that's awesome. That's a very cool idea.
Yeah.
It was just unfortunate they couldn't come out with it, but hey, whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty much it for the news.
RuneFest, yeah. RuneFest and the news, but we still got some stuff to talk about in regards to community chatter. I guess first things first, I mentioned about the EHP community kind of getting a little bit upset about some experience rates somewhere. And we had talked about it, but when ZMI, when that nerf happened, so the problem was the EHP community, which are the community of people who are like really obsessed with hitting the best experience rates per hour as you can. They're constantly going for 200 million experience in different skills. So obviously they're going to care the most. But with ZMI, people were rune crafting and they were hiring people to run them runes and they would just sit at the altar and they were getting about 150k experience per hour. So that was not what Jagex had pulled. So they had to nerf it so you can no longer trade. And the EHP community was kind of like, hey, you guys promised that the experience would be no more than like 75,000 an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's double that. So
fix it.
Yeah, you're kind of screwing over the competitiveness for our community. So they fixed it, but now since RuneCraft running is nothing new, it's happened forever.
I literally did it over 10 years ago for Cosmics for someone.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like
I did it for Law Runes, yeah.
Like I had someone saying, "Hey, you want to make some money?" I was like, yeah, okay. And I just ran runes with them. Like it's always been a thing.
Yeah, and you never made good money in the past.
No.
Like normally when I was doing the law running, I would trade them 27 or 28. I think it's 27. And you got back 27 law runes, right? Yeah. And at the time, you're like, perfect, easy law runes.
Yeah. For the person I did Cosmics, I remember they gave me a cash stack, a big stack of essence. Halfway through, they said they had to go, and then they'll log on later, and they never logged back on again. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to scam out of this pure essence because it's worth something. Because back then, it was actually worth like GP.
Yeah.
They just never came back. And I was like, okay. And I held on to it for like a week and then sold it. But it's always been a thing.
Yeah, always been a thing. So when they nerf it to ZMI, they don't rule out, like, they don't prevent Runecraft running with any of the other altars because it's always been a thing. This has people have resorted to now doing lava runes, and they're hiring people between 9 and 12 mil per hour to run them, and they're hitting experience rates of 250k.
Yeah.
So that's even higher than ZMI was.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always have done this. It's just that I guess the market was for ZMI.
I think it was more cost effective to do it at ZMI as well.
Yeah, I'm reading here about 6 to 9 mil an hour doing ZMI, although I do remember it being like 4 to 5 mil an hour.
ZMI was, I think for the rates, it's 4 to 5 per person.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have 2 runners at ZMI, I believe.
Okay.
2 to 4? I don't know. I could be wrong. But
it's a play run thing, so obviously it's going to fluctuate, right?
Yeah. And then, people are kind of like, what? They don't want this to be a thing? Or were they like, this is why we should keep it in ZMI? So what's the issue here?
It seems like the issue is that now some of the EHP community is like, well, this didn't fix anything because now people are getting higher rates, and I don't want to have to do these this method of rune crafting just to compete. So now it's kind of bled on to the next thing. And I just thought it was interesting because, we both kind of agreed. I think I disagreed at first, but I might have changed my opinion as we argued about the ZMI thing. But now we're seeing it shift over to lava runes. Is that a problem with it being 250k experience per hour?
No.
It's not a problem. How come it was a problem with ZMI?
Well, because, the way Jagex, one of the main points was, don't worry, you can't get more than lava runes ever.
So lava runes are okay because it kind of got grandfathered in, right?
Yeah. So, the issue is, when the big issue with ZMI was that it was new rune crafting content, and it was way less click intensive than lava runes. Like if you're going to pull, 72k an hour solo, no alts, it's very click intensive. Once you get the muscle memory down, believe it or not, if you can stomach the wrist actions, if you have good posture and a good ergonomic setup, you get into that flow state. It's really chill. It sounds weird to say it, but three take fishing, lava runes, once you learn it and you're in a ergonomic setting, it's actually a good time, in my opinion. That's my argument for it. But because lava runes were at that rate of 72, 75k, whatever, max, they didn't want it to be trumped by something that is just better in every way in terms of you make money, it's easier.
Yeah.
And it's you don't have to learn how to do it. To learn how to hit max rates, you have to learn how to do it for lava runes. No one can just sit down, first run, they're hitting perfect hits.
Oh yeah, go watch a video and you're gonna be like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna do lava runes.
You're gonna mess up and teleport with your Ring of Dueling to the duel arena instead of Castle Wars and be like, shit.
Or you're gonna forget to bring a fresh dueling ring and you're gonna teleport out. It's gonna break and you're not gonna notice.
Yeah, or your binding necklace. You have to understand, or there's a lot to it, but ZMI, it's so easy.
Yeah, it is.
And which is okay. That's fine. And the reason why it came in was because if you are there for purely based on best experience, go do lava runes. And then it turned into go do ZMI, and because you can get better rates. But you could always be able to, you always have this option with lava runes. Yeah, it's just the player base, because we like, I don't know if you've like, sorry, do you have anything to say before I like ramble on a bit more? So like, in my opinion, this is now an issue with the HP community, is because the people that actually do this like method, they have a max cash stack, like maybe they have an Inferno Cape, but like they've hit all their goals. They have all this extra money from doing TOB and like getting all these crazy GP rates. Maybe even PvP, if you're in a clan, you can pull some crazy money. But they have all this extra money, but they also really enjoy skilling. So like, hey, I want to get 99 rune crafting now. So why not? Like, they don't mind burning 50 mil or like 300 mil to get 99 rune crafting.
Well, some don't, right? That's where this rift is happening.
Yeah, so like,
because the average player, I don't think the average player gives a shit about this stuff, right?
No.
The ZMI, no one, like, that's why when it happened, people were like, why?
yeah,
I've never had a problem. I've never really wanted to do that because I don't have the money, but I also maybe I don't really care about making the money off doing it either.
yeah.
To me, that's like, whatever, leave it or take it. It doesn't matter to me.
So this is the best example I can think off the top of my head.
Oh, watch it be exaggerated.
No. It's going to be like a fake anecdote. So pretend you're me, right? And you just like love skilling. All right. I'm obsessed with rune crafting.
It's your favorite part of the game.
I put in 600 hours into rune crafting, doing lava runes, or like, let's just say I did lava runes from 23 to 99. And I'm like, man, I'm so happy I have 99 rune crafting. Like, look at Dills over there. All he did was Chambers of Xeric, so he's got nothing to show for it. Who cares? He's got a big cash stack. Like, oh, big whoop, I have a max cape. Like, so I'm sitting there on my high horse. I have a max cape. He's got a twisted bow. Well, so what? That doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't show it. He just got lucky. And then
I have a credit card. I could buy a twisted bow.
And then Dill solos another. He solos a T-bow. And I'm like, oh, cool. Now you have a max cash stack and a bunch of plat tokens. And then he looks at me and goes, yo, check this out. And then gets like 4 or 5 times my rates, gets 99 rune crafting, and like smashes 99 rune crafting in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, what the fuck would you do? Oh, with all the PVMing I did, you made fun of me. I went and just bought runners and like, hey, I hated rune crafting. You shit on me all the time for hating rune crafting, but I just sat at an altar and just spam clicked, and I was just trading, spam clicking, and I got it faster than you, buddy. And now I'm sitting there being butthurt about it. I think that's what's going on.
Do you think that's an issue, or do you think that's like
no?
Yeah, okay,
that's just part of the game. That's 100% how the community is just developed, right? There's people that care too much about something, and then they have like, I'm an elite max player. Like, I got 180 mil rune crafting. And then like there's some guy that's just like, I fucking hate this skill. And I really like doing Chambers of Xeric's, but I just want the skill done. Yeah. And then they just dump they look at it as a Bible, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can just, buy crafting. Hey, I'm just going to buy rune crafting now. And then I'm sitting there being like, no, you can't do that. Like a little kid playing tag with someone, and they're like, electricity.
Yeah,
tag electricity. You can't do that. It's like, well, why not?
Wait, what's electricity?
It's like the typical little, those shitty little kids that are like, I have golden armor, I'm bulletproof. Electricity is when you're playing tag, and you tag someone, and they yell electricity, being like, you're actually still it because I just said electricity and I shocked you. It's just it's like a little kid rule.
Okay.
But like the whole comparison is that like, you can't pay other people to help you skill. Oh, I just did. You know what I mean? Like I'm adding a weird obscure rule.
Yeah.
Because like now.
It's interesting though, because like they might make to them, it's important points, right? I'm not trying to shit on them because like, what they value about the game is stupid, because you and I, we both do the same thing. We've probably argued about some little update that like people are listening and like
weapon categories.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, guys, it's the smallest thing. Really doesn't matter to me. Yeah. Right. So people have their things, and it's interesting. But I think the difference between the EHP community and like maybe people who are like us who might argue about these small little changes is that the EHP community has Jagex his ear. They have their ear a little bit more. Like, I'm not going to go on Twitter and be like, move the weapon categories to the equipment slot. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in the end, I didn't really care too much to begin with, but like, whereas them, I guess it does affect them a little bit more, but it's like,
well, like,
I don't know.
I can see where, sorry to cut you off, I can see why it affects them. Imagine seeing, I'll just like try to, this is my shitty mental math. Let's just say I have like 1,000 EHP in rune crafting alone. The new raids come out and that amazing 1,000 efficient hours played that's clocked on Crystal Math Labs. I'm respected for it because I don't know. I have it. Now it just got bumped down to 250 and I technically lost 750 efficient hours of playing RuneScape.
And that's the thing with a lot of the EHP goals. It's not like, this is how good I am. It's more of like, this is how much time I put in.
Well, it's
right?
like efficient, right? Because you can, like, EHP, you can get more than one EHP. Yeah. So like efficient hour played is like, if you're playing efficiently, this is the rate you can get. But there are methods to get like 1.6 EHP by like combining certain skills, right?
Yeah, like agility, maybe you're fletching and alching in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect example. That's like, or like doing magic abuse, right? Mm-hmm. As you're doing lava runes. You're like take perfect on lava runes, but you're also getting magic experience. You're technically getting more than one efficient hour played.
Yeah.
So I guess that's really what happens. Like it devalues like the work they've built
and like the time spent, really, because like their goals are like 200 mil in a skill, and when you look at that, you go, how could someone do that?
Yeah,
like that's usually what it is for me. I sit there, I'm like, I'm not even at 200 mil total experience, let alone in just one skill. But then you look at someone with the Inferno cape, and I don't think like, wow, he had so much time to try Inferno. I look at him like, damn, that dude's got to be good at PvE. So, and I don't care how many times he spent doing it though.
So if you like making fun of EHP people, EHP skillers, let's play this anecdote.
Another anecdote.
Okay. You spend a lot of time doing raids, Zulrah, Vorkath, right? You build up a really nice bank. You get all these PVM items. You get a T-bow. You grind. You spend so much time grinding all this. And then Jagex releases a couple of like silly updates that make PVM way more accessible and make money way more accessible to players, but also a lot of the items you have aren't as valuable. So you watch your 2 bill bank or 2.5 bill bank drop down over the course of a month to 1.3 bill. Now, how would that feel?
Yeah, not good.
And like knowing that is hey, that kind of actually happened to me. T-bow, like, I've lost like 500 mil since I started fishing.
Aye.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good. I accept it because I don't like, that's just part of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It might bounce back, probably not as well, but that's just part of the game. Like, I'm not upset about it, but like you have to like apply that feeling of like, I could have just waited and bought, and I could be me right now being like, I sold all my items before I went fishing, bought all of them back, and I have 500 mil left over.
Yeah. And
you're like playing that hypothetical. Now it's like I lost a couple hundred hours on rune crafting. I could have got these 99s on these stats or like hit these milestones. So like that's like, I think why they get upset.
Yeah. And I get it. Right. That's why Link's Titan, when he was going for 200 mil in every skill, he left like mining and agility last. Cause he said, if there's any skill that's going to get an update to experience rates, it'll probably be one of these two. So I'll just leave it to the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it never did while he was still grinding it. He achieved his goal. So didn't matter in the end, but still, right. Makes sense. So I get the arguments. I get the frustrations.
Yeah, I can see it. As much as I like to make fun of him, I do sympathize, but
it's good to understand the other side.
But like that would be like me saying, take out the Dragon Hunter Lance, take out Hydra, make Chambers of Zarek hard. You know what I mean? It's just like, no, like you can't just like fundamentally change a part of the game because like it had a negative effect to your account or like the time that you spent playing.
It's interesting. We'll see what happens with rune crafting down the road. Will Jagex listen and be like, you know what, maybe we'll prevent running entirely, or maybe they'll be like, you know what, did you guys one solid, leave us alone. Right? Yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Yep.
The next one you might want to talk about because you brought this to my attention. Something you noticed Mod Ash posted on Twitter.
Yeah. They did a engine update this past week, and we can now actually have the concept of having your own tinted hit splat to know that you did the damage. Like that update can actually be a thing now. So look, it'll be toggleable. Don't worry, but that's really cool for him to just kind of be like, "Yo, guys, that's what's up."
Perfect.
Yeah,
that is something that I would like to see because it's cool to know whether or not
you go to Corp and you're like, well, I guess Corp counter, but like you go PKing,
yeah,
and you're like, all right, or like just in general, it's just cool to be like, hey guys, I hit that 60.
Oh yeah, you go to bandos, you're all spec at once, and sometimes you don't really know if you hit,
yeah,
or how much you hit.
You had like a high experience drop, but so did 2 other people, and you're like, okay, which one was mine?
I gotta do some math.
I want to know if I get this killer now before it drops because it's fun to try and figure that out.
Yeah, it's more information, right? It's kind of what it falls under. Like some cool stuff. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, with that being said, that's basically we're all out of news for the most part, at least today. But now we come to the segment where we get to teleport back in time and kind of discuss what updates were going on this week in 2001. So we're going to be teleporting back to May 24th, 26th, and 28th of 2001. The first thing is first, a dev blog was posted on this date saying new magic systems online. The magic system has been massively improved with the addition of lots of new spells. Magic can also be used during combat. What?
Damn.
In addition, there is also new prayer systems which lets you temporarily cast various effects on your character. This means there is now a total of 42 spells and prayers to choose from. I wonder, did spells work differently? I wonder if it's like saying it as it's a temporary effect because when you run out of prayer, you're gone. You lose the effect. I wonder if you clicked it drained your prayer by 2. It's like for the next 10 seconds, you have, I don't know, double defense or whatever.
They did have some weird prayers in Classic. I can't think of any, but there was like one, but like stunning or something. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't play too much Classic.
Yeah, I got in right after Classic. I went back and tried it, but not too much.
I hit like base 40 combat and was like,
cool. Okay, that's more so than me then. And the next one, following on the same day, and they say here, due to popular request, female players can now go and talk to one of the characters in the game and get their armor modified to look more feminine.
Damn.
It's crazy. So that's actually kind of cool. You could be wearing like a male version of it or get it fitted so it's a
Do you think
more
that would
slender.
be like room plate legs turned to a plate skirt?
I don't know.
Is that what they meant by that? What if it's like, what if that was it though? Like actually, like it was a cosmetic, and they're like, "Why don't we just have 2 items? It's way easier."
Or they just had one helmet, then the female went to go change and it changed to a medium helmet, and they're just like, well, "This is bullshit."
The like,
women get 75% of the stats on the male.
They're wearing like a plate body, he just turns into an apron.
God, this is bullshit. They're fighting and their cooking levels just going up. This is fucking stupid.
Super sexist.
All right, I got a huge complaint here. I've got my girlfriend to play, and she's like maxed cooking, but she keeps getting PK'd.
Yeah.
But they've also added the ice dungeon has been expanded and improved. What does that mean? Well, that means they include a new ice warrior monsters called Ice Warriors.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the server status page now also shows the top crafter, the top magician, and the top cleric. Interesting.
Huh.
It might be. I mean, it would help a lot if we played a lot during these days. But when Magic was released, or when they had Magic, there was good Magic and evil Magic. So maybe the cleric is like
the non-combat based magic, and then the bad magic was the one you use in combat. It was like Fire Strike.
Possibly, yeah.
What if good magic is like lunar? That it gets
imagine.
Well, because like heal other and stuff, right?
Yeah.
What if like that was a Well, we could probably find this out, but fuck it,
we won't.
I like speculating about this.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Next update on the 2 days after that, prayers now last 50% longer. It seems most people thought their prayers weren't quite powerful enough. Therefore, they changed it to last a little bit longer.
What if it's just like, I have 60 prayer. It's just like
you get one hit.
You have to protect from melee, but from one hit. Yeah.
But you miss the tick.
Yeah. You think prayer flicking could have been a thing back then?
I don't know.
What if Zezma? What if like the one person just knew about it and was like prayer flicking?
Just never runs out of prayer.
Yeah.
So everyone else's prayers running out, but this dude's got unlimited. What's going on here? And 2 days after that, it says, I have added a new button to the stats menu, which shows you which of the 15 quests you have completed. I hope this proves useful to people who are trying to work out which ones they have missed so they can complete them all. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Beforehand, you didn't even know what quests you completed.
Yeah.
That's super sandboxy, I guess. It's super, I guess, more immersive, even though.
You probably need like a notepad next to your computer, like check off your list.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Yeah. I'm glad we don't have to deal with it, but still. But yeah, that's all that happened the week and a half back in 2001. And normally this is where we would go talk about lore, but if I had mentioned that my girlfriend's moving in this weekend, I'm going to be very busy. Not sure if I'm going to have time to actually record the lore part. So just to save the headache for this week, we're going to skip it till next week once everything's settled down a little bit. All right. So that being said, we're going to move on to the part where we're going to talk about what we have going on in the show.
Doubling money.
Yeah, doubling money. Or doubling money segment. That's perfect. But no, we have an Audible thing going on right now. You can go to audibletrial.com/wild where you'll get a free audiobook and a free month. It gives you a chance to check it out if you might be interested in books. Maybe you're like, man, that Game of Thrones season finale sucked, but I want to read the books, but don't have time to sit down and read like 4 books that are like 5,000 pages altogether.
Hey, Harry Potter, Jim Dale.
There it is.
I've gotten like 6 people into it. Like people are like, hey, I've read the books, seen the movies. I'm like, dude, you gotta listen to Jim Dale tell you the story. And like, he's sick. Obsessed.
So there's a recommendation there. Some Harry Potter.
Dude, his voices, woo, they're good.
Yeah, you can go check it out. You get a free audiobook. You can go check out the first Harry Potter with Jim Dale's. Jim Dale's narrating it. And then you might like, you know what, this is fine and all, but I can't really afford how much money Audible is per month. You just cancel it. You keep the free book still.
Yeah.
It'll get you started at least. That's audibletrial.com/wild. Or you can also support the show directly. You can do that by going to patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. And our supporter of the week is Lars Scooby. So thank you very much for supporting the show.
Thank you for the Scooby snacks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They ever make another Scooby-Doo movie?
I don't know. Okay. Unrelated. Well, related, we're on the topic of Scooby-Doo. Okay. So Shaggy says zoinks.
Yes.
Scooby says rot-row.
Okay.
Velma says wait, I just totally blanked. Velma's the
nerdy one.
Yeah. Okay, wait, let me say that again. Shaggy says zoinks. Scooby says rut-row.
Okay.
Velma says jinkies.
Okay, yeah.
Daphne says jeepers.
True.
What does Fred say?
Scooby-Doo, Fred. Catchphrase. Look at that. It's number 3 after meme and scarf. Fred says,
I'll take the girls.
Freddie Jones is his name.
Freddie Jones,
is the leader of Mystery Inc. of the Mystery Inc. gang, and more often than not is the driver of the van, the Mystery Machine. Fred is statisque. Fred is brave. Everything that the group's other male human members. Oh, wait, what? Oh, basically, Fred is everything Shaggy isn't. Shaggy Rogers. Over the years, Fred has come to build overly complicated traps for villains, which Scooby-Doo and or Shaggy would often set off by mistake, only for the villain to wind up captured by the trap anyways. He also takes charge by splitting the group up to search for clues. Not really saying too much here. Okay. There's this thing on the sign that says species, human. It's funny.
I don't think he has a catchphrase. I think he's like the only character to not. Because I bet you Scrappy Doo probably has one. I don't know though, because who really watched Scooby Doo when Scrappy Doo was in that episode?
Oh yeah, the little dude, right?
Yeah.
This is interesting. In the development of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Fred started off as Jeff, but then was changed to Harvey. and then eventually was changed to Ronnie. And then eventually his name was Fred because of the programmer named Fred who worked for the CBS. Could you imagine working on a thing? You're like, we need a name. No, I don't like Harvey. I don't like Ronnie. How about Dills? What do you guys think about Dills? I think it's perfect.
Make him look like me. Like you know what I mean? Like he's like,
I do think Fred would be better for Shaggy though. And you're like, no. I want to be the Macho Man. Okay, I found the catchphrases. Wow, we really got off the boards here. Wow, these are not even catchphrases. They're just things he says. Some of his catchphrases are another mystery solved.
Okay.
Let's split up. Looks like we have another mystery on our hands. But then more recent times, it's hold the phone.
Oh. See, because I was thinking, like, when things go bad, like, like, Jeepers, Jinkies, Zoinks, and Rutrow. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they're like, Rutrow, Raggy.
Yeah.
Those are catchphrase. Fred doesn't have any. It's like, hey, gang, let's, hey, who am I banging tonight? I'm gonna bang these girls. You two go over there. Like,
yeah, it's
you get a little wet and wild.
Yeah, if you go to a Hanna-Barbera wiki, the only catchphrase he has is looks like we've got another mystery on our hands.
That's so bad.
That's so, especially if he says it every episode.
I mean, it's like Scooby Snacks is a catchphrase then, or
yeah, it is. Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
Yeah, like that makes sense. But
Scooby
like,
Dooby Doo, that's another one.
Of course, that's like Hallmark. Like you say that to someone, they'll sing you the whole. Where are you? We got some work to do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then obviously the most famous one of them all. And I'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids.
Yeah. Anyways, we should probably
kids who own a van and drive it too.
Yeah. And it's like a hippie mobile too. That's the best part.
And Shaggy is definitely on the reefer.
Yeah.
He's definitely on those
edibles.
Doobie snacks.
Anyways, so thanks to the Patreon pledge.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we do appreciate it, and we appreciate every single person who does support the show and also supports us with just kind words and also by listening. Thanks to everyone, basically. Summing it all up. And now we get to talk about what we have actually going in the show that you can be a part of now.
Unless you're listening to this is a legacy archived episode, but if you're listening to it on live up, anyways,
right? You can pretend or like maybe fantasize about what you would have came up with, because we're doing a skill competition right now where we want you to create your own brand new skill that you think would be introduced into RuneScape, flesh it out in as much detail as you want, the more the better, and then you're going to send that to us in an email at the wilderness podcast at gmail.com. And then on episode 137, we're going to read through some of the submissions. We're actually getting a ton of submissions. I've only been reading the subject in the email because I don't want to dive into it right now. I want to read them all kind of at the same time. So I don't know how much detail is in it, but we're getting a ton of submissions and I'm super excited. I've looked through all the subjects. Every single one of them is a cool idea, and I don't see any of them that are the same yet.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. But if we get a lot of submissions where it's going to take us like an hour to go through it, I'm thinking we might do a bonus episode where we go into detail of every skill and discuss it, what we like about it, maybe what we don't like about it, how we think it would do if it was actually pulled. So we might do a bonus episode, which that just means you'll get an extra episode coming up in your feed, but it's not going to be us rambling about anything else except for the skills you guys have submitted. But yeah, we have at the moment 30 mil to give away. Is that right?
I believe so.
Or did it go up?
No, but
okay.
But like, yeah.
So right now it's 30 mil. It might go up. It won't go lower than 30 mil though. So, and what we're going to do, we're going to pick 3 winners. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to choose my favorite. Deegan, you choose your favorite. And then we're both going to vote collectively on one skill.
Yep.
And each one is going to win 10 mil, or at least whatever the pot is that we have. We'll divide it in 3. And we've had a bunch of people donating for some of these giveaways. So I want to thank everyone who is not just participating, but the guys who have donated the money, because it's honestly, it's great to have these events. They're a lot of fun. And you guys are the ones that are supporting these events directly, because, you know, I wouldn't have the money to do it otherwise. And if I did, it'd be like a couple mil. But so quick little shout out to Bale O'Hay, Raw Arrow, Gloctopus, Deegan, who donated to you?
Hop Happy.
And Hop Happy. So thanks, guys. And if I missed someone who did donate it, let me know, because I have a list here and I'd feel really bad if I forgot to put someone on here. Maybe I was busy in game or something, but truly do appreciate it. It's incredible, right? We can throw these awesome events where we have all these people who are working hard on these skills, and I can't wait to read it. But all thanks to you guys. So truly, thank you. Can't thank you guys enough. Yeah, episode 137 is when we'll be announcing the winner. So you got some time. Take some time to flesh it out. Like I said, as much detail as possible. But with that being said, we did get a message on the Discord and an email kind of unrelated to the skill competition. So we'll start with Ohm Fries on Discord. He says, Dills and or Deegan, in episode 134, you guys play the mods Q&A. So I played some of the Mod Matt K's, some of the highlights that I had seen with him. But he says, just curious, when they say they would like to ditch NMZ because it has served its purpose, what exactly do they mean? So a little quick refresher on it. They asked some of the mods, like, what's something you would like to remove from the game? And then it came to Mod Matt K, and he said, I would like to remove NMZ. Basically, it served its purpose. We don't really need to have it in the game anymore. So that's what he had said. And so Ohm Fries asked us to kind of say, what does that mean?
I don't know if there's like a solid, like, this is what the intention was, but what my take on it, it was to get returning players to play old school and get their old combat levels back as fast as they can with as little effort as possible.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's like super AFK while also being great experience, right?
Yeah.
And a big problem when old school RuneScape came out in 2013 is a lot of people didn't want to grind back to their accounts. I didn't want to. I had fun for the first week playing it, but eventually I was like, this is great and all, but you know, I used to be level 110 and I'm only level 30 right now, or level 40. Not really motivated to get back to that.
Yeah.
Eventually I did, but a lot of people felt that way. So NMZ was a way for like, okay, you know what? You might not have the time to do it. So we'll have NMZ there. You can AFK it while you're doing other things, and it's an easy way to get your combat levels up and your count closer to where it was.
I mean, I did get like 90 attack, strength, defense, and then I went just to 99 strength. Like, from base 70s. That's how I like did my mealies. Was like all of that was like over the course of a couple months at NMZ.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
maybe if that wasn't an option, maybe I wouldn't be playing right now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was able to marginally faster than anything else.
It was like ridiculous rates. I was pulling like crazy numbers. I think a lot of players, like when they came back, especially when 6 Hour Guffin was a thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the purpose was. And now it's getting to the point now where new players have never played RuneScape, and now they're NMZing, and too many of them are kind of doing it.
Yeah, because they might be like, oh, these rating looks awesome, but I'm only level 40. What should I do? People are going to say, get your ass to NMZ.
Yeah.
And you'll be there in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I think so. Mod Matt K, when he said that, or ex Mod Matt K, he's saying like, you know what? We have a large percentage of players who are at a high level. We don't really need to kind of help the lower levels get there faster.
And especially the people that choose not to do NMZ, and then you gear content towards them, and then they kind of become victim of like, well, why are we putting out these updates for these people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then like there's that awkward spot where like some good content could be made for those people, and then it's getting voted no because everyone's doing NMZ.
Yeah. And also, like, they have it so there's the ring imbues, which kind of double the stats for many rings. That is only available through NMZ. And you get to a point where, like, maybe you didn't do NMZ, or maybe you did, but you spent it on other things. Now you're kind of forced to go back there. And if you're already maxed combat, you're literally just grinding out the points, which feels like a huge waste of time.
Or you're me with like 10 mil plus points, and you're like, I'm doing Herbot. I'm trying to get rid of them. I don't need these anymore. Which is nice. But like, yeah, NMZ prods like pretty much have like a free like daily where they just make free money.
And that's the NMZ prod. It comes from like it's almost like a jab at a player who has high combat stats but a low Slayer level, basically, right?
Well, like high combat stat, no game knowledge. It's like that level 120 wearing a combat bracelet and an obby cape.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're one, like imagine that in like the old, like, 2006, 7, whatever. Where it's like, if you're 120 and you put in the time, you should probably have a fire cape by then.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people just don't like doing that content. But yeah, it's like, it's a jab. It's like an elitist kind of like,
it's
your
kind of a
combat
joke.
level means nothing because you don't have barrel gloves or a fire cape.
Yeah. So that's where it kind of, but even though there's nothing really wrong with doing NMZ as your only way to train your combats or only way to play the game. Because, I mean,
It's your account.
Yeah, it's your account. Do it. Looks fun to you. If raiding looks fun, as long as you have people in your group who have the other stats for it, like, and they're okay with you going along with you, there's not really any issues, right?
I mean, if you don't have the items or stats, don't like be upset if they say no.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to find a group.
Yeah.
So some cool stuff there. Then we got an email from well, it's labeled from Anonymous, so we'll from Anonymous, the hacking group, and they said, we have stolen all your accounts. No, an idea for a new segment, which could be player interaction stories, whether good or bad. So I don't know if that would make, like, maybe not a reoccurring segment. It could be like the conspiracy segment where it drops in from time to time. I don't normally have like stories with player interactions, especially if I don't play. Like, I didn't play much this week. But if I'm just fishing, I normally just have the clan chat open. I'm missing anything in public. Or sometimes I have them both closed and I'm watching YouTube and I just totally forget people talk in that game.
Like, when it pops up, we do talk about it. Like the whole, like that one guy I noticed, like flexing gear for no reason at the GE. And then the bot came in and was like scouted him and left. And then a couple days later, I find him and I'm chatting with him. And that random dude comes up and he's like trying to like lure. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, this is weird. Or the 50 mil joke that I made. I probably shouldn't have, which I'm not going to rehash. You're going to have to dig through the archives for that one.
Damn.
But
don't worry, guys. I'm out of the loop as well.
Yeah, let's not get into that. You'll go back a couple episodes, if you missed it, you missed it, but it's out there.
If you guys have some funny interaction or any interaction that's like notable, you can let us know. We'll talk about it. We'll read it over. Half the time we can usually relate because hell, I've been scammed like 8 times. Not saying you get scammed, but
maybe maybe you're scamming.
Exactly.
That'd be pretty fun to talk about.
It actually is kind of interesting, eh? Yeah. Get some scammer on here and go over it.
Yeah.
And anyways, but yeah, maybe we'll keep our eyes out. Maybe on the subreddit we can see interactions that happen and might be something to talk about. But yeah, go ahead and send it to us though if you do have some player interactions that is noteworthy, And we'll go over it. Well, anyways, with all that being said, we had a lot to go through this episode, so we're going to start wrapping it up and talking about how you can get in touch or maybe even hang out with us in game and all the lovely folks hanging out in the clan chat, which is Wild CC. If you don't have a clan chat, go ahead and join it. There's a lot of really cool people there. The clan chat's been awesome. That's all I can say. Like every single person's been great. Only had a problem with like a couple people, which is two, 3 people tops.
One became reformed. So like one.
Yeah.
Or like, actually, no, I'm thinking there's another person. So actually 2.
Yeah.
But like, it's been like, for the amount of people that like come and go.
Yeah. We'll have like 20 people hanging out in there. It's awesome to see that. Cause I remember back when log in, it would be like just me just hanging out and like just me in there. And then for a while, I remember there's a user you'll recognize in the clan chat, but Traditions started hanging out and he would tell me that people would plop into the CC. He'd be the only one hanging out there and they'd be like, am I in the right place? And he'd be like, yeah, you're in the right place. It's just, a little quiet here.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely people just kept coming in and staying. So come hang. There's a lot of great people there and tons of people taking people out PvPing for the first time or PvMing for the first time and just helping out with general knowledge.
No, I'm kidding.
Wood cutting for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Wild CC. And if you want to email us, maybe send us your skill idea or your player interaction story, whatever it is, you can do that at thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @thewildernessrs. Our Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And our Discord is pinned on Facebook and Twitter. Those are the easiest ways to get it. It's a simple click. It should bring you there. If not, bug one of us in game. We'll find you a link. And I think that about does it, Deegan. You got some stuff?
Twitch, where do you us?
Cool. My Twitch is The Dills. All one word, I think. I haven't really done too much streaming. I had that Rune Radio idea that I want to do. Still want to do it. But I need to get the girlfriend moved in, and my excitement for VR needs to die out a little bit. But who knows? Maybe I'll get some VR streams if you're interested. But yeah, check it out if you're rearing up to go. Which brings us to finally our song of the week. We'll do the Forlorn Homestead.
Check it out. Go to Hasidius. Check it out.
Yeah. Music track unlocked at the southern coast of Hasidius. Came out January 7th, 2016, and it was composed by Ashley Bridges, Mod Ash himself. Very talented individual, isn't he?
Yeah.
Next week we're going to be at 136. So get those skill ideas in while you can. 137, we will be cutting off the submissions. We'll still read them if you send it in. Just won't be in the pool.
Yep.
Thanks, guys, for listening. Sorry for that delay last week. You know, it happens, right? So, but thanks for listening, and schedule should be back to normal.
Yep. Yeah, have a good one.
Take care, everybody.